After 12 years of marriage, Graham discovered his wife was sleeping with one of his closest friends. He didn't confront them. He hired a private investigator. He collected the evidence, hired one of the best divorce lawyers he could find, and walked away from both of them. 6 years later, Graham came back. And when he finally stood face to face with the friend who had betrayed him, he said something neither of them could have expected. "Thank you." After 12 years of marriage, Graham Whitmore hired a private investigator to follow his wife. The investigator's name was Richard Hale. Graham placed a recent photograph of Vanessa on the desk. "I need to know where she goes." "Anyone specific?" "Cole Mercer." Richard wrote down the name. "Who is he?" Graham hesitated. "One of my closest friends." 11 days later, Richard called. "I have something." The folder waiting in his office contained everything Graham needed. Vanessa leaving a restaurant with Cole, Cole's hand on her back as they entered a hotel, another meeting 3 days later, and finally a photograph of them kissing inside Cole's car. Graham stared at that one for several seconds. Dates and locations? Documented. Original files? Everything. Graham closed the folder. "Good." Richard studied him. "I'm sorry." Graham picked up the folder. "Thank you." He sat in his car for nearly 20 minutes before making his next call. Not to Vanessa, to a divorce attorney. Rebecca Shaw was one of the best Graham could find. 2 days later, she was sitting across from him with Richard's photograph spread across her conference table. "Does your wife know you have these?" "No." "Keep it that way until we're ready." Rebecca spent the next several days examining 12 years of Graham's financial life. The house, investments, retirement accounts, Vanessa's income, Graham's income, and most importantly, Graham's business. He had helped build it from almost nothing, and it was now worth more than anything else they owned. Rebecca warned him that a 12-year marriage involving substantial assets and a large difference in income could become complicated and expensive very quickly. "What do you want?" she finally asked. "My business protected, the house, no ongoing support." "Vanessa may fight." "Then we fight." "Graham, that could cost both of you a great deal of money." He looked at the photographs. File. 3 days later, Vanessa was served at work. She called Graham 18 times before he answered. "What the hell is this?" "Divorce papers." "Graham, what are you doing?" "Ending our marriage." "What are you talking about?" He waited, then said one word. "Cole." Silence. "I have photographs, Vanessa." "Graham." "Hotels, dates, his car, everything." She started crying. "I can explain. You slept with my friend. It was a mistake." "A mistake?" "Graham, please, come home." "I'm not coming home." He ended the call. Their first settlement meeting was brutal. Vanessa arrived with her attorney expecting negotiation. She found a husband who appeared ready for war. When her attorney began discussing the house, assets, and Graham's company, Graham leaned forward. "You want to fight over the house? Fine." Rebecca glanced at him. "Graham." "You want to come after my business? Fine. Fight me for it." Vanessa stared at him. "You're angry." "You're damn right I'm angry." "Then don't make decisions you're going to regret." Graham laughed. "Regret?" He pointed toward the folder sitting beside Rebecca. "My wife spent months sleeping with one of my closest friends, and you're worried about what I'm going to regret?" Her attorney interrupted. "Mr. Whitmore, nobody benefits if this becomes personal." "It became personal when she went to a hotel with Cole." Rebecca put a hand on Graham's arm. "Enough." But Graham wasn't finished. He looked directly at Vanessa. "I'll spend every dollar I have fighting you." Her expression changed. "You don't mean that." "Try me." "Graham." "I don't care if the lawyers take everything. I don't care if I'm bankrupt when it's finished. I'm not spending 12 years building a life and then quietly handing it over after what you did." Vanessa lowered her voice. "We don't have to destroy each other." Then don't fight me. Graham, please. And don't expect me to protect you anymore. Vanessa went still. What does that mean? It means I'm done pretending. Her attorney immediately stepped in. We are here to discuss a divorce settlement, nothing else. Graham ignored him. Your friends want to know why we're divorcing? I'll tell them. Graham. Our neighbors ask? I'll tell them too. Stop. People at work? Vanessa's face changed. Graham, leave my office out of this. Why? You're ashamed of what you did? Rebecca cut him off firmly. That's enough. Graham sat back. But Vanessa had heard enough. She had spent years carefully building her reputation. At work, she was respected and polished. Their friends saw a successful woman with a beautiful home and a stable marriage. Their neighbors admired them. Now all of that could be replaced by one sentence. Vanessa had been sleeping with her husband's friend. The next settlement meeting was quieter. So was the one after that. Vanessa's attorney negotiated hard, but she had no appetite for a long, ugly fight. Within weeks, they reached an agreement. Graham retained his business interests under the negotiated settlement. He kept the house. There would be no ongoing spousal support. Vanessa kept her own income and accounts and received enough from the marital assets to live independently and comfortably. It was far less than the life she'd had with Graham. But she signed. So did he. 12 years of marriage ended with 2 signatures. Within months, Vanessa and Cole stopped hiding their relationship. Graham wanted nothing to do with either of them. Fortunately, he already had another option. His company had been discussing a promotion that would require him to relocate. With the divorce finished, Graham accepted it. Then he did something Vanessa hadn't expected. He sold the house. The same house he'd fought so aggressively to keep. On his last morning there, Graham walked through the empty rooms. The kitchen Vanessa had remodeled. The dining room where they'd entertained friends. The living room where Cole had sat countless times drinking Graham's whiskey. He stopped there briefly, then walked outside and handed the keys to the real estate agent. His belongings were already packed. By afternoon, Graham was driving toward another city. Vanessa stayed behind. So did Cole. For the next 6 years, Graham didn't see either of them. And neither of them ever understood why he'd left so easily. For Vanessa and Cole, the months after the divorce were not what either of them had imagined. The secrecy was gone. So was the excitement that had come with it. What remained was reality. Vanessa moved into an apartment after Graham sold the house. Cole was there constantly, partly because they were together and partly because neither of them knew what else they were supposed to do. Their affair had ended a 12-year marriage and destroyed one of Cole's oldest friendships. Walking away from each other now would mean admitting they'd burned everything down for nothing. So they stayed together. 2 years later, they married. It wasn't an unhappy marriage in the beginning, but it wasn't the great love story either of them had expected. In some ways, it was a marriage of convenience. Cole gave Vanessa a way to prove she hadn't destroyed her marriage for a temporary affair. Vanessa gave Cole a way to believe betraying his friend had at least led to something real. They built a life around that belief. And it was an expensive life. Vanessa had always lived well. With Graham, she'd never thought much about what things cost. The house, restaurants, vacations, cars, weekends away, it had all been supported by 2 good incomes, with Graham earning substantially more. Now Graham's income was gone. Vanessa still earned well. So did Cole. But together, they couldn't quite reproduce the life Vanessa had been accustomed to. At first, they tried anyway. They bought a house in a good neighborhood, then renovated it. Cole bought a new car. Vanessa replaced hers the following year. They traveled with the same friends, ate at the same restaurants, and maintained the same appearances. For a while, savings covered the difference. Then Cole sold some investments. Then came credit. By the 4th year of their marriage, there was almost no margin left. A large repair on the house became an argument. A vacation became an argument. A restaurant bill became an argument. Even groceries occasionally became an argument. Neither of them wanted to say the obvious thing. They were trying to maintain a lifestyle built around an income that no longer existed. Graham's. And money wasn't their only problem. Cole had once found Vanessa exciting, confident, beautiful, a little dangerous. Now he knew what she was like when she was worried about money, when she was disappointed, when things didn't happen the way she expected. Vanessa had once found Cole charming and spontaneous. Now spontaneous often meant irresponsible. Charming didn't pay a mortgage, and the man who had once made her feel desired had become a husband who sometimes stayed at work simply because he didn't feel like going home. By the 6th year, both looked older than they should have. Cole had gained weight. He drank more. The easy confidence people once associated with him had faded. Vanessa still maintained herself carefully, particularly for work and social events, but the strain showed when she thought nobody was looking. Their friends knew things weren't going well. Nobody asked too many questions. Then, one Saturday evening, Vanessa and Cole attended a 20th anniversary party for two old friends. They arrived late. For the first hour, everything was ordinary. Then Melissa approached Vanessa near the kitchen. "Did you hear Graham's back?" Vanessa stopped. "What?" "He moved back about a month ago." "Here?" Melissa nodded. "Apparently permanently." Vanessa glanced across the room toward Cole. "Why?" "No idea. Something business-related, I think." Vanessa tried to sound casual. "Have you seen him?" Melissa hesitated. "He's here." Vanessa turned. At first she couldn't find him. Then she saw a man near the other side of the room laughing with a group of people. It took her several seconds to realize it was Graham. He looked nothing like the man who'd left 6 years earlier. He was lean, fit. Some gray had appeared at his temples, but instead of aging him, it seemed to suit him. His clothes were simple but expensive. More than anything, he looked relaxed. Vanessa stared. Cole appeared beside her. "What are you looking at?" Then he saw him. Jesus. Graham turned. His eyes moved across the room until they reached Vanessa and Cole. Cole stiffened. Vanessa felt something tighten in her stomach. Neither knew what to expect. Graham had every reason to ignore them, maybe even leave. Instead, his face broke into a smile. He walked directly toward them. "Cole." Cole hesitated before accepting Graham's hand. "Graham." Graham pulled him into a brief hug. "It's good to see you." Cole looked stunned. "You too." Then Graham turned to Vanessa. "Vanessa." "Hello, Graham." 6 years. "Almost." He smiled. "You look good." "So do you." That was an understatement. Cole looked him over. "What happened to you?" Graham laughed. "What do you mean?" "You look like you lost 40 pounds. 38. Vanessa stared at him. "You know exactly?" "I worked hard for every one of them." Cole shook his head. "I barely recognized you." Before Graham could respond, another guest approached. "Graham, congratulations." Graham turned. "Thanks. I heard about the sale. Incredible." "It worked out well." The man shook his hand and moved away. Cole looked at Graham. "Sale?" "The company I joined when I moved." "What happened?" "I ended up with equity. We grew. Earlier this year we sold." "For how much?" Graham smiled. "Enough." Cole laughed. Still the same Graham. But he wasn't. Throughout the evening, Vanessa kept noticing things. Someone mentioned Graham had run a half-marathon. Someone else asked about a trip to Portugal. Another friend congratulated him on buying a house near Lake Harrington. The Graham Vanessa remembered had been overweight, exhausted, and permanently worried about work. This Graham seemed to have discovered another life entirely. Eventually, Vanessa found herself beside him near the kitchen. "You're happy?" Graham looked at her. It wasn't really a question. "Very." There was no hesitation. Vanessa nodded. "I'm glad." Graham smiled. "I heard you and Cole got married." "We did." "Congratulations." She studied him. "You really mean that?" "Of course." Before she could say anything else, someone called Graham away. Vanessa watched him go. Later, as she and Cole were preparing to leave, Graham caught them near the door. We should have dinner. Cole looked at him. Who? The three of us. Cole laughed. You're serious? Why wouldn't I be? Cole glanced at Vanessa. Graham smiled. That was 6 years ago. He gave them his address. Saturday, 7. Cole looked at it. Lake Harrington. Yeah. Vanessa raised an eyebrow. You bought a house there? Recently. Cole shook his head. You really did all right. Graham smiled. I can't complain. They agreed to Saturday. On the drive home, neither Vanessa nor Cole spoke for several minutes. Finally, Cole said, That was weird. What? Him. Vanessa looked through the passenger window. He seemed fine. That's what's weird. She turned toward him. What did you expect? I don't know. Cole gripped the steering wheel. I thought he'd hate me. Vanessa looked forward again. Maybe he moved on. Cole said nothing. At the next traffic light, he glanced at her. Did you see how happy he was? Vanessa didn't answer. Friday afternoon, Cole sent Graham a message. Can we meet tonight? Just us. Graham replied, Sure. They met at a quiet bar shortly after 8. Cole was already halfway through a whiskey when Graham arrived. Graham sat opposite him. Everything okay? Cole stared into his glass. I need to ask you something. Go ahead. Cole looked up. Why don't you hate me? Graham said nothing. I betrayed you. I slept with your wife. Then I married her. Graham leaned back. That was 6 years ago. That's not an answer. Graham studied him. How are things with Vanessa? Cole gave a short laugh. Fine. Graham waited. Cole looked away. Then he shook his head. No. They're not. Graham remained silent. We're drowning. Financially? Among other things. Cole rubbed his face. We tried to keep everything going. The house, cars, vacations, all of it. He laughed bitterly. Turns out the lifestyle Vanessa was used to required Graham Whitmore's salary. Graham didn't react. I've sold most of my investments. We're carrying debt. We fight constantly. Cole looked exhausted. Sometimes I sit in the driveway after work because I don't want to go inside. Something passed across Graham's face. Cole noticed. What? Nothing. Cole looked at him for a long moment. You know what's really messed up? Graham waited. For years I thought I took something from you. His eyes dropped to the whiskey. Now I look at you. He shook his head. And sometimes I think you were the lucky one. Graham remained quiet. Cole looked directly at him. You never remarried? Graham shook his head. Because of what we did? No. A faint smile crossed Graham's face. For the first time in years, I felt free. Maybe too free. I still haven't found the courage to give marriage another chance. Cole looked down at his whiskey. I know I have no right to complain to you. Graham said nothing. After what I did. Cole. No, let me say it. Cole rubbed both hands over his face. I was your friend. You trusted me. You brought me into your house, and I slept with your wife. Graham looked away. I've thought about that a lot these last few years. You don't have to do this. I do. Cole's voice had become quieter. I destroyed your marriage. Graham looked back at him. You didn't. I did. No. I betrayed you, Graham. Yes, you did. And then I married her. Graham nodded. Cole gave a bitter laugh. Sometimes I wonder what your life would have been if I'd just kept my distance. Graham took a drink. Probably worse. Cole frowned. What? Nothing. But Cole wouldn't leave it alone. I'm serious. Your marriage, your house. You left the city because of what we did. Cole, stop. I'm trying to apologize. I know. You deserved better from me. Graham stared at him for a few seconds, then sighed. Cole, you need to stop apologizing. Why? Because this is getting ridiculous. Cole's face tightened. Ridiculous? Graham hesitated. He clearly hadn't intended to say anything more. Then he leaned back. Do you remember Chicago? Cole went still. Of course. I was supposed to go with Vanessa. You canceled. I wasn't busy. Cole stared at him. Graham continued. The fundraiser before that? I wasn't busy then either. What are you saying? I'm saying I knew you, Cole. Cole's expression slowly changed. And I knew Vanessa. Silence. You put us together? A few times. Why? Graham looked at him. Because I needed a way out. Cole stared. Then get divorced. Graham gave a faint smile. You don't understand. What's there to understand? It's between Vanessa and me. She'll understand. Cole shook his head. No, what the hell are you telling me? Graham looked down at his glass. I created opportunities, that's all. You wanted me to sleep with your wife? I wanted you both to make a choice. Cole stared at him. And when we did, you hired Richard. Yes. The investigator? Yes. Cole's eyes narrowed. I thought the investigator was how you found out. No. The answer came almost casually. I already knew. Cole went completely still. Then why hire him? Graham looked directly at him. Because knowing wasn't useful. A pause. Proof was. Cole slowly leaned back. The divorce. The photographs. The lawyers. Graham's sudden departure. 6 years of memories began rearranging themselves in his head. You used me. Graham didn't deny it. Cole's voice hardened. You knew what kind of man I was. Yes. And you put me around your wife. Yes. That's sick. Maybe. Cole stared at him. So that's it? You wanted rid of her and decided I'd make a good exit? Graham was quiet. Cole stood. He looked hurt more than angry now. Graham looked up at him. Cole. What? There is one thing I should say. What? Thank you. Cole stared at him. Graham didn't smile. For what? For giving me a way out. Cole's face fell. He picked up his jacket. You know, I spent 6 years thinking I was the worst friend a man could have. You were. Cole looked at him. Graham held his gaze. I didn't ask you to sleep with my wife. You did that all by yourself. So don't turn yourself into the victim here. Cole gave a hollow laugh. Turns out I wasn't even your friend by the end. He walked away. Vanessa knew something was wrong the moment Cole came home. He dropped his keys on the kitchen counter and poured himself a drink. Where were you? With Graham. Vanessa looked up. Graham? Cole nodded. What did he want? Nothing. Then why were you with him? Cole drank. Vanessa waited. Finally, he said, he knew. Knew what? About us. Vanessa frowned. Obviously. He hired an investigator. No. Cole looked at her. He knew before the investigator. Vanessa went still. What? He was putting us together. She stared at him. Chicago, the fundraiser, those nights he suddenly couldn't come. Vanessa shook her head. No. He told me. Why would he do that? Cole gave a tired laugh. Apparently he wanted to get rid of you. Vanessa's face changed. He said that? Pretty much. Why didn't he just divorce me? I asked him. And? Cole looked at her. He said I wouldn't understand. Vanessa waited. Then Cole added, he said you would. Silence. Something shifted in Vanessa's expression. Cole saw it. What? She didn't answer. Vanessa. She picked up her phone. What did he mean? Vanessa was already pulling up the address Graham had given them. Vanessa? She looked at Cole. For the first time since he'd come home, she looked genuinely shaken. I think I know. The next morning, Vanessa drove to Lake Harrington. Vanessa arrived at Graham's house shortly after 9. He opened the door wearing running clothes. The surprise on his face disappeared almost immediately. Cole told you. Vanessa walked past him. You planned it. Graham closed the door. Parts of it. Don't do that. You put us together. Yes. Chicago. Yes. The fundraiser. Yes. All those times you suddenly couldn't come. Not all of them. Enough. Graham said nothing. Vanessa stared at him. You wanted me to sleep with him. I wanted an opportunity to get out. You could have divorced me. Graham looked at her. I tried. She went quiet. Remember? Vanessa looked away. That was years before. 3 years before. You asked for a separation in the middle of an argument. No, I asked calmly. You turned it into an argument. Vanessa folded her arms. I was angry. You told me if I left, you'd take the house, come after the business, demand support, and make the divorce so expensive I'd regret ever asking. I was hurt. I believed you. Graham, people say things when they're angry. He smiled faintly. Exactly. Vanessa frowned. Then she understood. The divorce. Graham said nothing. All that anger. I was angry. Not like that. No. Her face changed. You weren't going to bankrupt yourself. Of course not. Vanessa stared at him. You were acting. Some of it. You threatened to tell everyone. I needed you to believe I would. My office, my friends, the neighborhood. Graham nodded. Vanessa looked around the beautiful house, then back at him. The investigator wasn't to find out. No. It was for evidence. Yes. And you knew I'd sign. Graham held her eyes. Yes. Vanessa stood silently for several seconds. You knew I'd sign those papers to save my reputation. Yes. You knew exactly what I would do. Graham looked at her for a long moment. There was no other way, Vanessa. I know you. I know you better than anyone. Do you really think Cole knows you? A faint smile crossed his face. He's an idiot. He knows nothing about you. You would never have given me that divorce. You would have fought me until there was nothing left. I knew how possessive you were of me. I knew you wouldn't let me go. Vanessa didn't answer. So I had no choice. I had to hit the weak spot. He paused. And I knew exactly where it was. Vanessa's eyes filled, but she didn't look away. You destroyed our lives, mine and Cole's. No. Look at us, Graham. I didn't hand you to anyone, Vanessa. You chose him. Her jaw tightened. I didn't make you marry him either. You knew what kind of man he was. Yes. And you still pushed him toward me. Graham nodded. Vanessa laughed bitterly. Then congratulations. It worked. You're rich. You're healthy. You have this beautiful house. And we're miserable. Graham's expression didn't change. I didn't do any of that to you. You started it. No. I opened a door. You and Cole walked through it. Vanessa turned toward the entrance. At the door, she stopped. Was I really that terrible? No. Then why? Because someone doesn't have to be terrible for you to be miserable with them. Somehow that hurt more. We had good years. I loved you. Vanessa swallowed. Then why couldn't you just keep trying? Because eventually love wasn't enough to make me want to stay. She looked down. After a moment, she reached for the door. Vanessa. She stopped. Graham walked closer. She turned. He looked directly into her eyes. You know what the saddest part is? She waited. You still love me. Vanessa's expression changed. That's why you would never have let me go. And if I'd fought you, I would have lost everything I'd worked so hard for. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. Graham opened the door for her. Vanessa walked outside without another word. He watched her reach her car, then quietly closed the door. For 6 years, Vanessa had believed Graham divorced her because she chose another man. Only now did she understand. Graham had chosen to leave long before she ever chose Cole. Was Graham justified in what he did? He created the opportunity, but Vanessa and Cole made their own choices. Or did Graham cross a line the moment he decided to manipulate them? Tell me what you think in the comments. And if you enjoy stories about love, betrayal, choices, and the consequences that follow, subscribe to Forge Stories, a new story every day.